So a very good afternoon to all. Welcome to this program on adopting performance excellence. It's a conversation amongst winning organizations, and we have the pleasure and privilege to have eminent leaders from the organizations that participated in the 2019 award cycle and won the trophy. So I will be introducing them to you all during the flow of the event. But I would request and start the program with our guru, Mr. Suresh Lulla, sir. He is the co-chairman of the IMC Quality Improvement and Technology Committee. He is with us today just to set the tone to the program and then have all the winning organizations express their thoughts. So I request Lulla,
Maya?
sir. Yes?
Maya, Ajit sir and Mehta sir and Sheetal ma'am is also blogging.
Oh, okay. So before I request sir to take it on further, I also would like to introduce, we have with us our leaders from the IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We have Mr. Ajit Mangrurkar, Director General. Natasha, can we have his sir's profile? Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Good afternoon and wish you all the best. Look forward to it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We have Mr. Sanjay Mehta. He's Deputy Director General, IMC. Sanjay, sir.
Good afternoon. Pleasure to be in this program. Look forward to a great, interesting dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And we have our new Deputy Director General, Sheetal Kalru. She has also joined us. And welcome to your first program with us, Sheetal. Yeah,
thank you very much.
Thank you. I will now request Lulla sir to please take this forward, sir.
Good afternoon, friends, and welcome to this new initiative started by IMC, Ramkrishna Bajaj National Quality Award Trust. It's part of our World Quality Month celebration, and while we have been organizing Making Quality Happen over the years, we felt there's a need for a conversation with the chief executives. Making Quality Happen essentially harvested best practices, and they were the how did you do performance excellence. Conversations is about what did you benefit? What are the gains from adopting Ramkrishna Bajaj National Quality Award criteria? It's pretty much in the scoring guidelines. Making Quality Happen takes you through process management, improvements, innovation, benchmarks, up to a score of about 500. But beyond that, you have to get into innovation, strategic cross-industry benchmarking and things like this. And you reap benefits and results. We want to learn from you, what are these results? I'm so pleased to see Ajit over here. He's a source of encouragement always. And thank you, sir. I'd like to thank all the speakers who have agreed to come. And I would only say that this is a pilot. We're going to do many more such events, perhaps in a slightly different format, based on our experience with this pilot run. So we look forward to hearing the results, the challenges you faced. Manish, Bhaskar, Palanisamy, Ratan, Rama. We are eagerly looking forward to your talks. Thank you. Over to you, Maya.
Maya, you're on mute. You need to unmute yourself.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the inspiration. So we'll now begin the conversation, starting off with Manish Sinha. He's Assistant Vice President, Bennett Coleman and Company Limited, Saibabad, Ghaziabad. He's a mechanical engineer and management graduate from XLRI with over 23 years of experience across various industries such as automotive, construction, equipment, and media. Bennett Coleman had won the 2019 award, main IMC-RB and Kuwait Trophy, and we were privileged to witness a lot of innovation at every step of their process. So I request Manish to take it forward and give us a glimpse of the journey of excellence that you went through with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Maya. Thanks for, bringing me like as an opening batsman to face the, but truly speaking, it was a great journey with IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj National Quality Award competition. In fact, this was the first time we participated, we interacted in any manufacturing excellence award. So prior to this, we were, media companies basically a very close-knit company, and not very much of venturing we do outside. So prior to this, we were just, having our internal processes like, or basically a little bit of, exposure to qualities, ISO quality norms, and, environment and health and safety, and a little bit on fire safety, something of that sort. But when we looked into this, that, we wanted to benchmark our processes along with other industries. Basically, the intent was to optimize our processes. First of all, to understand where we stand and how we can adopt to the best practices, which as a course of a benchmarking, which we would be looking forward to during the course of this journey, which we were undertaking. So, when we started, I think we started somewhere in March, April, when we contacted you, Maya, for the first time. And then we thought that let's have an initial meeting with you, and then let's benchmark whether, first of all, are we somewhere nearby to stand into the competition or not. And then we we understood that, one of the key, the belief of ours, we at Times of India, we focus very closely on the individual people development, and more importantly, innovation goes into the bread and, it goes into the blood of all of us. And, then we thought, and why innovation? Because we feel that unless until a person is motivated and involved, innovation cannot happen. So this this was basically, belief which we had. And during the course of this journey, we realized that the processes which you follow were somewhere ingrained into the system, but not, a little bit of ironing, a little bit of polishing was required in terms of giving it a, structure. And then during the course of our journey, most of the things which were, hidden inside the process surfaced, and we could, formalize. And, some of the areas which were, not very much on a key focus of ours, but, I'll share with you, was basically a corporate social responsibility, that CSR activity. Initially, we thought that CSR activity basically is an organ of a Bennett, where there's Bennett Touch, who does, and we used to partner. But then during the course of interaction and the training, and when we met some of the eminent, assessors, and, Mr. George, and, the people came and interacted with us, it gave a new, energy amongst the people. And we started interacting with multiple NGOs, some Goodera, and basically who were indirectly working along with Bennett Touch. We started engaging with them, and it helped in improving the emotional connect of our employees, not only with the external society but amongst each other. And a CSR is something, it's like an opium which goes into the blood, because once you start interacting with the society, and you start seeing the smiles on the faces, and you come to know that you are making some difference to their lives, our own quality of life improves. And it spread like such a fire that even in the pandemic, though socially we are not connecting, physically we are not connecting, but till date, almost on a weekly basis, multiple people interact with these NGOs, trying to help them out, even maybe in Skill India program. So we do have many skilling program when we interact with most of the people who are less fortunate and they don't have that opportunity. So this was one new dimension which opened purely after the interaction or the association we had with Ramkrishna Bajaj team. So this was a fantastic thing, and which basically brought our emotional level or our energy level to the next level altogether. There was one more thing, which basically helped during our pandemic, and why I'm saying, because these things I can say that a big contributor was IMC. Was basically, earlier we were mostly, our domain of, innovation and creating something new was either in the basically the zone of our own process improvements or the product improvements, by virtue of which we were trying to delight the customers, that's the readers and the advertisers. So we basically, by virtue of which we were generating revenue out of to our business. During this journey of around 7-8 months, that is from March, April we started until October, when we were having a site visit, and during the course of the entire journey, we also started focusing on, we realized that there was a very strong need to connect with the processes of our internal customers, that is mostly the edit and the the distribution team. And we started innovating, and we started giving business solutions or process solutions to their requirements. So and what happened is that when this pandemic came in the month of March, starting month of March, that was from 25th of March we started having a lockdown, and so our engagement with our internal customers was so high that we generated a lot of business propositions, which is keeping our business doing really very good vis-a-vis our competition. Anyway, we don't bother about the competition. Let the competitors compete. We believe in leading. So that is the philosophy which we have. But we could handhold all the functions together, and we could paddle through this pandemic, and and we all feel very good about it, because it has improved the internal harmony between different functions, between different business processes, all together. So it was really a great journey with us, with IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj, and the entire course of training, association with your assessors, site visits, and there's a lot of tremendous value added by your assessors who had come for 4 days visit at when they were doing the assessment of ours. So and all the suggestions what has been shared and discussed during the course, we have taken it very seriously, and we look forward to much longer association with IMC. So yeah, so it has been a fantastic journey, but and we treasure it within ourselves. And
any challenges, Manish? Any challenges?
Challenges? Not specifically, because since it was the first time for us, we took a lot of time to document write it. First of all, definitely the application file it. because we were anyway doing for the first time. But I think there was a tremendous support from the IMC side in basically, hand-holding us, and training. Training was a big thing when you guys came for our 3 days, 2 to 3 days, and all our employees participated. So that was a very nice gesture, and we really appreciate that. In fact, your earlier sessions on, that the best practices one, which held, about
MQH best practices.
MQH, yeah, a couple of months back. That was a very good platform where we came to know that what are the good things which other people are doing, and there's a lot of takeaways for us from there.
Okay.
So in whatever which we thought that could be, benefiting us. In fact, most of the activities directly or indirectly, practices which others are following. So we are implementing that, and we look forward to next leap now.
Great. Thank you so much, Manish. Before I move on to the next speaker, I would like to request, we have been the privilege of Mr. Neeraj Bajaj, sir, Chairman of the IMC Ramakrishna Bajaj Quality Award Trust, is here with us. Sir, would you like to say a few words? Can I request Bajaj, sir, to please address?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on this, and I'm not here to speak. I'm here to listen to all the presentations. So I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy this is taking place. And thank you for the first presentation, and I look forward to hearing the others. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So we move on to our next speaker, Mr. Girish Iyer. He's cluster head CNO Marico Limited. There was a small change from Mr. Bhaskar to Mr. Girish Iyer, who's joined us. He's a Bachelor of Engineering Mechanical from the Walchand College of Engineering, Sangli postgraduate in management from Gurgaon, and he has 20 years of work experience. Before Marico, he was with Tata Motors and Dr. Reddy's, as he's been in Marico for the past 15 years. Marico, as you all know, is a great institution and leader in innovation also. So we truly get inspired by Marico, and I request Girish to take us through the journey of excellence. So with us, thank you.
Thanks, Maya, and thanks RBNK team for giving Marico and me the opportunity to speak something about how what we feel, how the assessment has gone by, and what are our learnings. Just a little bit about Marico for those people who might not be knowing. So Marico was established in 92-93, and it has almost now 27 years of experience in beauty and wellness space in coconut oil, Parachute being the leader brand, edible oil Saffola, hair care, hair oils, hair and care, Nia Shanti Amla, skin care, which is Parachute body lotion, foods, which is the Saffola oats and masala oats, and a host of other things in male grooming, and recently with this COVID kind of situation into health and hygiene products also. Now, let me talk a little bit about Perundurai facility where we went for this assessment, and we are honored to get this award. Perundurai was established in 2012. That time we had 3 coconut oil manufacturing units, and this was a newest, the latest entrant to come up in 2012. And it underwent a series of expansions. And when we went for the assessment, we had just come out of an expansion from 120 tons per day of copra crushing, what we call as a capacity of 360 tons per day. So relatively new. Now a little bit about our association with RBNQA, Marico's association. Now the Thrive for Excellence, the journey towards excellence, Marico has associated with many organizations. One of a big influencer in overall business processes and quality systems has been IMC RBNQA. This started way back in 2008 because I was specifically a part of it in 2008 assessment when I was in Jalgaon. See, I joined Marico in 2005, I was in Jalgaon in 2008, and we had the first assessment of RBNQA happening in Jalgaon and Goa. And that is where we started learning about the systems of RBNQA. And as an organization, we always strived to, if not best in class, at least strive towards being the best in class. Hence, the association with RBNK strengthened over the years. So if you see, it's not only about Jalgaon and Goa where we did the first assessment. It followed up with Panjikode unit, which is also a coconut oil manufacturing unit in 2010, followed by Pondicherry unit in 2012, which is also a coconut oil unit, and then in Baddi for the edible oil unit, and now recently in 2019. In the meantime, we are talking about our own facilities. Our business associates like our C&Fs or our depots, some of our suppliers also went for assessment and in between. So due to our long association, we have been able to ingrain the systems of RBNK as a part of working culture. In fact, even much before RBNK, we had in something called as QCert, where we started our quality journey, adopted the flavors of RBNK, and as and when the Marico matured and evolved over a period of time, started focusing on overall excellence and upgrading the standards. And we had our own ingrown model, a lot of which we derived through RBNK and Malcolm Baldrige. And later on, we came with an integrated module called as Integrated Marico Excellence Model. Now, specific to Perundurai, it's a new unit. And when I talk about RBNK, when I look at RBNK core values and criteria, which are articulated in the guiding document, it talks about these eight principles of leadership, customer excellence, customer-driven excellence, organization learning, valuing workforce members and partners, focus on the future, managing for innovation, management by fact, societal responsibility, focus on results, and creating values and systems. While the Marico model has been there since right from 2008, now how does it translate for Perundurai, which is actually a new factory, and it is poised, it was poised now to be, we just came out of expansion, I told, and we are now, the facility of Perundurai was responsible for delivering about 60% of the coconut oil volumes, even being a new facility. So it was of extreme importance for us to get it integrated as far as quickly into the Marico model, excellence model and the RBNK framework. So I will talk about 4 areas where we have picked up from the RBNK model. One is about leadership and customer-driven excellence. So typically we feel that value-driven organizations demonstrate ethics and transparency, cascading right from top to bottom. Now, if you see, we have a set of 8 guiding values which we have, which is consumer centricity. We call it as think consumer to be big. This is an acronym for consumer centricity, transparency and openness, opportunity seeking, bias for action, excellence, boundarylessness, innovation, and global outlook. Now, these purpose and values which we have are communicated and deployed. Seen in a plant like Perundurai, what happens is there is attrition in the plant. Now, how do you communicate these core set of values, not only to new joiners who have come, but also you reinforce them with members and business associates. So there are various forums like I Value You, internal portals, booklets, organization communication and recognition forums where we try to cascade our values right from top to the bottom, not only with members, but also with vendors or suppliers or business associates that we work with. The second part which we were focusing on was on sustainability and climate change. In fact, last year, we went for not only RBNK, but also for something you might be knowing about CI Greenco. So we have also won the coveted CI Greenco Platinum Award. Now, where leadership comes into picture over here, and which we saw from RBNK, is being sensitive towards sustainability. And leaders over here focus on this climate change by evaluating the sustainability considerations whenever we are thinking of something. Okay? In fact, right way back in 2016 is when we went for almost 100% renewable energy. We had a furnace oil boiler, which we took it down, and then came with, although it was an investment, we came with a solid fuel fired boiler, and then on top of it, wind energy for our unit. And we didn't stop at that. Water was an area which we couldn't focus on too much in the last 6-7 years. But this time, specifically even after the RBMK, is when we went towards Greenko, is somewhere we started focusing a lot on water. Reason being, water is not used much in our operations, but even whatever we use, like 50 to 60 KL per day of water, is something we wanted to get it down. So setting up of a rainwater pond in the premises where we could harvest store. It's not typical rainwater harvesting which goes to the ground, because borewell is not allowed over here. So we had to construct a pond where we could harvest the water and it doesn't seep inside the ground, and then use it again for. Happy to share that almost like we use about 2000 KL of water per month, around 60 to 70 KL per day. And out of that, almost 600 KL is now coming from this source alone. So our dependency on the river water has reduced to quite an extent because of harvesting of water. Third thing which I want to talk is about being systems driven. So integrating what you call people, processes and practices to deliver results. Finally, RBMK stresses a lot on business results. But the process of that is to integrate the people, that is your workforce, what you call, and process and practices, whatever you have to deliver. This is of importance for us because being a coconut oil plant, and you know about the brand Parachute, we are having a dominant market share. And that is because of a past legacy that we have about the brand and about the practices. But it is important to continue and strengthen those practices, which helps us retain the market leadership position in coconut oil. So key processes for us, RBMK, we were doing it but it gave us a framework. Doing it in pieces, but it gave us a framework. So when you asked about what are your key processes, then we realized what differentiates why we have this market leadership position, what differentiates us from others. Key processes like procurement and manufacturing, and the quality systems, and the operation, the way we conduct our operational systems, particularly when SSS came, you would have heard about ACT now. That is the system that we follow over here, along with the integrated Marico excellence model. So this has helped us in consolidating. Even after COVID, our leadership position has actually now gone up. We were at around 59, 60%. Now we have gone to about 62% leadership position. All this has helped us strengthen. And the last thing which I would talk is about talent management. Specifically, when you look at a Perundurai kind of facility, and even you would see in the document, there is a little bit of attrition which happens. That is because of the place that we have. It's an industrial area. But then how do you, so that's one part of it, but how do you get the commitment from people? So commitment comes by valuing people towards engagement, their engagement with the organization, their satisfaction, their development, and their well-being. So while engagement and satisfaction happens through, the right culture and values and the processes that you have in the organization, development of the individual or the member is something we focus on quite a lot, and that happens through the value system that we have. That is the 8 behavior. I expect them to be showing those 8 behaviors, which then finally becomes the Marico value that we have, and through some functional competencies that are unique towards a role. Now, this process is a self-development process where members are made aware of their career path and the development plans that they need to undertake to fulfill the same. Now, this has helped in Marico in attracting, retaining, and developing high-quality employees. Now, 64% of our leadership roles are homegrown, and actually, when people leave Marico and then when we interact with them, they always talk about the culture that Marico has, and although they would have gone for some reasons like probably a better pay or a better career or due to some personal reasons, but it's like they always remember, and most of, and we have also seen people coming back and not adjusting with those organizations coming back. And sometimes we will say also that, okay, I'm leaving, but if I don't fit, can I come back?
Okay, that's great.
So, Parindra facility, so RBNQ assessment is over, CI Greenco Platinum is over, the unit is FSSC certified, all that is there. But we have a very young team, and we are actually very happy and kind of proud and humble at the same time.
Okay.
That in our maiden attempt, we could be able, and thanks to the support which has been given by the RBNK team, as well as Shailesh and his team based out of Mumbai, we could not have done without their help. And you made us convinced that we could do it. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Girish. And I must say, but anyway, Marico is an inspiration for us always. And one thing I want to also thank Marico and its team is for guiding your vendors, your suppliers, warehouse facility, and encourage them to participate in the small business category of the Ramakrishna Bajaj Awards. Thank you so much, Girish. That was wonderful listening to you. I will now request move on to Dr. C. Palanisamy, Principal, Banari Amman Institute of Technology, Satyamangalam. Dr. Palanisamy is currently the Principal of Banari Amman Institute of Technology. He also served as Professor and Head of the Department of Information Technology at the Institute for more than a decade. Prior to joining BIT, he served as Assistant Professor at BSG College of Technology, Coimbatore, a great institute for nurturing the young minds. So I request Dr. Palanisamy to please take us through your excellence journey with us.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Maya, for such an introduction. Hope you can hear me all.
Sorry, yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Yes, yes.
We can hear you.
So I represent one of the premier institutes, self-financing institutes in engineering category, called Banari Amman Institute of Technology, which houses more than 8,000 students on campus, with more than 600 faculty members. And our institute is accredited by NBA for majority of the programs. And we went through 2 cycles of NAAC accreditation, with the second cycle being 3.57 score out of 4, which is the highest amongst the engineering institutes in the state. So we are very proud to say that, and we are very happy to associate with RBNQ, IMC RBNQ for various awards. In 2018, we won Leadership Award, Performance Excellence Award in leadership category, and in 2019 we won the National Quality Award, which is one of the prestigious awards. And I'm very happy that the team of IMC has guided us in terms of training, and also in terms of application submission and evaluating the application, and also during the site visit, we have very good team of experts from assessors from IMC RBNQ who went through this rigorous process. And during this process, we got whether winning an award or not is a secondary thing, but we received a good feedback report from IMC RBNQ always, where they gave us the strengths and weaknesses where we have to focus. The focus area is very important for the growth of any organization. So we have taken those areas of focus, and certainly we have developed as an organization in the past few years in terms of we have moved from teaching centric institution. Most of the institutions are teacher centric, but we have moved from teacher centric institution to a learner centric institution. We have taken certain managerial decisions like highly decentralized culture amongst teachers, with a high level of transparency. Any activity which is taken is with high transparency. And this learner-centric, as once I say learner-centric, we've introduced certain things like outcome-based education in terms of both teaching, assessment, as well as in terms of students' development, overall development. So This this learner-centric approach is culminated with industry-sponsored laboratories in our campus. We have sustainable measures like we have developed certain indicators for measurement. We follow all the 7 principles given by RBNQ scrupulously, and we have developed for the past few years, and this has given us good results in this, even this pandemic. We are closed from March 17th onwards, and it is almost 8 months by then now. Even now we could not open institutes, but our learning never stopped from March 17. Once the day the government announced lockdown, the next day we started our classes online, and we have been following the classes scrupulously, and assessment is very, very important, and we have been using extensively the assessment tools, online assessment tools, and with the help of these performance measurement, regular audits, and also with the help of our campus management software that we already developed, has given us core ease to educate the students without any break of study. And also one important initiative that we have taken up during this with the help of the feedback from the assessors is sustainability and eco-friendly practices, both in terms of education and also in terms of our infrastructure development. So in terms of the education, predominantly being an education institution, we have been focusing on systems and the processes. We are not dependent on the individual. So systems and process helps us a lot. Though we are in the pandemic situation, complete lockdown, our performance never stopped. To explain you few things, being an education institution, we will be measuring the faculty performance as well as student performance in various issues like, the number of paper presentations made by the student, project presentations, number of competitions a student gets participated, and the number of patents they file, and all the funding that we receive from the government, etc., industrial collaborations, internships. So we could see that for the past 4 years, I have compared, and we could see that there's not a linear scale. It is it is the huge leap and jump it's growing exponentially day by day. And even this lockdown, we could achieve, we are halfway through, we are in the half of the academic year, we could achieve the performance which is close to the previous year, even without, getting into physical classes. So these processes and systems has helped us a lot, for the student development. And also in terms of the sustainability in terms of infrastructure. So we have been extensively relying on the principle of reduce, reuse, and recycle. In terms of the solar usage, or you say in terms of, we have set up one of the best infrastructures in Satyamangalam. It is, if you could see, it's one of the world-class institutions we are trying to create with the help of the great visionary of our chairman, Dr. S.V. Balasubramaniam, and our trustee, Dr. M.P. Vijay Kumar. He is a retired IAS officer who is guiding us always. We have very strong senior leadership team, always discussing, guiding people. And infrastructure wise also, it is socially responsible and ethical practices we follow institute. So as an overall development, I could say that our performance has greatly increased for the past few years with the help of following the best practices, best principles and criteria suggested by RBNQ. And the process that we went through for the last few years, and the relation that we had with IMC RBNQ is really amazing, and great experience that they have shared with us, especially the assessors. When they came over here, they were very cordial, and they're guiding each and every point in us. And I should thank IMC for giving us this opportunity, and we are very happy that we won IMC National Quality Award in the education category. I once again thank every one of you from IMC for giving me this opportunity to speak over in this forum. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time, and your continued participation always has inspired, I think, all other educational institutions.
Sure,
We'll get back to you, sir. And I will now move on to our next speaker, Rama Rajashekaran, Director, Ganga Medical Center and Hospital Private Limited. She is the Managing Trustee of Ganga Institute of Health Sciences, GMCH. It's a 500-bedded super specialty hospital in orthopedic, trauma, and plastic surgery. It is the first Asian hospital to be recognized by the International Society for Orthopedic Center. Rama ma'am has been, we have had the privilege to have her association and her guidance in how to reach out to healthcare institutions and move towards, a great association with all those healthcare sectors in promoting our excellence model. Thank you so much, Rama ma'am, for being with us and supporting us. And I request you to take us forward in the excellence journey you have had with the IMC Ramakrishna Bajaj Quality Awards. Thank you. I think your audio is...
you're in mute.
Yeah, now we can hear.
Thank you, Maya, for the nice introduction, and good evening, sir, the Chairman Niraj Bajaj, and of course, Suresh Lulla, sir, co-chairman, and all the other speakers and the invitees. It's such a privilege to be invited to talk on our experiences. In fact, when I look back, I mean, I've heard about IMC Ramakrishna Bajaj Award, but we were I look into more of quality in healthcare, and I was very little, apprehensive, like how we'll be able to take it up. And, because it's a very prestigious award. And so I had a discussion with my team, and then we got the application, and once we were, were accepted to go ahead. When we were preparing it, they said, "Oh, ma'am, it's so difficult. You can't read through the lines. It's, just goes above our head and all." Though we have had NABH accreditation a few years back in 2012 itself. So I just, I was thinking, we should go ahead, and I spoke to a few of the other award winners in the healthcare sector, and they said how interesting it was. So I just, called all of them to boost their morale. I just said, see, I mean, you have to just take what John F. Kennedy, when he was asked, when he was the president, and when they had put people on the moon, the first thing they all, the press asked was, why do you want to put man on the moon? I mean, in this decade, when in America's economy was a little low at that time, he just said, no, I always quote them to this. We choose to go to the moon in this decade, not because it was easy, but because it was hard. It helps you to harness your energy and also your skills, which would otherwise become latent. I really, to boost my morale of my staff, and that's when we took it up. And in 2018, we won the trophy, and I said, no, we should not stop with that, we should go ahead. And what I really liked was, I mean, this is not a corporate hospital, it's a private one. And most of my senior consultants or senior staffs have been here for more than 20, 25 years. This is a 30-year-old institution started by my father-in-law. And it was a small one, and then now it has grown quite big. Now we have really expanded to 650 beds, I think, for the biggest in the country for a specialty of orthopedic and spine. And now, of course, cancer-related oncology of plastic surgery and all have come in. So when I thought, we had leaders, but when I was going through your application, the first thing was, they're giving so much importance for senior leaders. We started probing into what was it? Then only I really, that we took it for granted. But how much of their inputs were there? How much of, we started measuring their outcomes, and, and how much they've done towards quality. All that, I think I got it only through your award. I mean, this application, when we started applying, and that is something which really put me on, leadership. We always thought leaders were something different, but here even my senior staffs, my senior theater technician, all of them become leaders in their work, which was never much associated. That, I think, was a very good opening for us. as I'm an NABH assessor, so I know how it is, but this is something very different because you go into the depth of an institution. I'm talking about healthcare institution. Yeah, yeah. It's not done normally. NABH is very different. They have certain set standards and we go around assessing, but this, you have to really probe in. That was something which was, I really enjoyed it. Through the journey and especially strategic planning. That category was, we had strategic planning, but there was so much of how to develop our goals, how to measure it, how do we implement them, what will be our next long-term. We had long-term plans, but not so much into depth, like a little superficial on certain areas. That I thought I was, very, very, the strategic planning was something which now, of course, NABH is taken up into a big way, but I think that is very, very important. That I think that is going to lead the whole thing in the future, the way things are moving up. And also your customer focus. Of course, our customer focus, it was there, but then we started looking at started going in for focus groups and how to go from customer to customer. We never, it was little, not so much intricate, but now everything is falling into place. I can feel the change among my staffs everywhere. Of course, we have, we do a lot of programs for them. And of course, our workforce was very important. Especially in healthcare, they keep jumping jobs. And we have a trained nurse example, and then she quits the job. So to keep her on it, to develop her, I'm just saying a small example. So, so I used to, introduce them into a lot of these quality things, which is becoming a big thing now, and they all feel more motivated. So all those little things which were there, but not measured. I think with your application and with the way we processed it, I think we really started measuring everything, which was, I think it's a big, progress for us. And of course, always my hospital is more for, like orthopedic and plastic, they're very well known in their specialities, in their paper publications and all. But I thought hospital as a team, as a quality, where do we stand? That's when I thought this has really put us in a good benchmark. And I've been, in fact, telling a lot of my friends, come on, you all should apply for this, because I'm the healthcare. I said, no, this is something which you'll find it very interesting. And that is one of my take-home messages. Only thing was, of course, they want a lot of competitive data, which was a bit difficult. Corporates have it on the website, but the hospitals in and out and here is very difficult to get. That was one of the main constraints we have. And also I really, especially for opportunities for improvement, which you had, all the assessors write, that was very, very, very nice. Their whole assessment was so good. They go into the depth. It gives them a very clear picture of what's happening, and their reporting was so good. It really put me on into, especially when this cross-industry benchmarking for innovation, we have really not thought much about it. So this was something when the assessors had given for their scope for improvement, that I take it. All their suggestions or improvements was something, it's like, as always, Suresh Lula says, you should have best practices, but soon they should become the next best practice. I think it is so true. After some time, we have to keep going up and to provide seamless care for my patients and so many things. I think I can go on and on. So that was my, so thank you so much. It was such
Thank you so much, ma'am. Be there, please. I'll just move on to the, I'm very sorry, Ratin, to have skipped your name and moved on, but my apologies. We have with us Ratin Khandadia, Associate Director, Global Center for Education Excellence, GIS. So GIS has been the recipient of over 190 plus awards in the field of excellence and quality. The Business Excellence Framework has been integral to the GIS's DNA. And we have the pleasure of Ratin and his guiding all his institutions, the units across, with the leadership focused by Mr. Atul Temurnikar, and the participation of GIS in IMC RBNQA has truly been a great learning experience for all of our organizations too. So sorry once again, Ratin, may I request you to please take us forward in the excellence journey of GIS with us.
Hello. Hi, good evening. You don't have to be apology. I thought it was an intentional you want to end with GIS,
Oh yeah, great. True.
And unlike, you will find me telling more about our IMC rather than your IMC RBNQA model, because we truly embraced. So in my talk, apology for, taking that credit of our IMC RBNQA model and not only yours.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Okay. So when we started this IMC RBNQA journey, in the earlier criteria booklet, on the first pages, there was a quote by Mr. Ramakrishna Bajaj, which was written in very bold, and that, became a carving stone and the foundation of the entire philosophy. It says that there is no finish line to excellence. However, award lies in participation. Now, I think in the recent one, it's not coming, but the older criteria booklet, this quote was there on the second or third page. And with that quote, it was so deep-rooted. Then we thought, okay, let's keep award as a byproduct and let us embrace this journey of IMC RBNQA. Personally, now I have completed about 15 years of my association with IMC RBNQA. And it's almost about a 360-degree exposure. I have been an examiner, I have been an applicant, I have also been into the committee. And when this ABC case study was being written, I was also fortunate enough to be a part of that also. So
thank you so much.
About 360-degree. The beauty of this model, if you see, by adopting IMC RBNQA business excellence model, it defines the way of life for you. It says how the things have to be. Now, if I just give as an example, in the current COVID scenario, if we see, all the 11 core values are actually put to use. Let it be visionary leadership, let it be organization and personal learning, let it be valuing workforce members and partners, your agility, focus on future, managing for innovation, managing by fact, societal responsibilities, focus on results and creating value, and system perspective. So something which is written 15, 20 years ago still has been the savior. Those who have adopted this model have seen a better days in this crisis moment compared to others. So this also defines how you are adopting it. At GIS, we started a journey long back in 2008. And in 2010, we won the first trophy. And after that, so far our 7 campuses have participated into our IMC RBNQA main cycle. This year in Excellence in Crisis, we had about 12 campuses. Making Quality Happen, we keep on participating. About at least out of 13 campuses, 10 campuses have already been participated, and milestone merits also we keep on adding to it. So how does it help as an organization to us? It helps us to have a deep dive within ourselves, understand what are the areas of strength which we can leverage on. And it also helps us, what are the gaps? We don't need an external to come and say first. When we are writing an application, that is the moment of truth. I would say that is an MOT for us, for any organization, because the questions which you are not able to answer, which you are not able to write very convincingly, that is a first realization moment. These are the areas which we can improve on. And based after that, yes, we have assessments being done by different bodies, and we have assessments by the reputed examiners who comes with a very rich knowledge. But if I still quote, Suresh Lullaji, 15 years ago, he started saying that, customer is the king, and if only 2 words you need to remember is the process and customer. So, if you really want to adopt this journey, if you do around all your activities, keeping these 2 things in mind, then yes, you would be able to adopt a business excellence journey. Even the way IMC RBNK model, the entire assessment is carved out over a period of years, starting with under the leadership of Geeta Bharadwaj ji, and now under your leadership, Maya. It has globally gained prestige. Now, when we go out and tell that we are an examiner of IMC RBNQA to the external forum, because I am also been associated with APQA, GPA, Singapore Quality Awards, and a few more. But when you say IMC RBNQA, it has gained that name and fame across the globe. And then people tend to take your advice, your service, your assessments more seriously. So that is a major credit for the IMC RBNQA. In fact, today morning, I was speaking with one of our examiners for our GPA scoring, and without speaking to each other, our score was in the range of, same plus minus 5 marks. So 10 years, 15 years ago, what Suresh Lullaji did a calibration on the scoring part for us as an examiner. Still, I think we are living up to it. Yes, but it also comes with lots of challenge. So what we did is when we go for an assessment, our main meat is the OFI is what we look at, and award becomes a byproduct. And at GIS, what we have done is we have started compiling all the OFIs which we have received from 2008 onwards. So now it would be about easily 1300 plus OFIs which we have received. And whenever we go with a new campus for implementing IMC RBNQA model, so we go with this rich experience of this 1300 OFIs and first says, let's address all this. And then we go with we go and apply for actual assessment. So when any campus is coming for an assessment, they have already worked on 1300 plus OFIs before they actually go for a fresh time. So though it's a new campus, first timer, but they have a rich experience of about, and this was even shown to some of the examiners who came last year. They had visited earlier about, a decade ago, and then we showed them this were the OFIs you gave 10 years ago, and this is the action taken. And then when we showed them the action on the ground, they also really appreciated, yeah, you take this very seriously and you are working on it. Because for us, that becomes the main motivation. And even our chairman is very passionate about IMC RBNQA. He respects this entire model a lot. In case of any cost-cutting activity, he says, but there should be no cost-cutting for IMC RBNQA. He has never said no for any of the applications, and you see now the applications going into double digits also. He gives us special budget from his own kitty, but he says the journey for excellence should carry on. And when we talk about challenges, yes, a brother or a sister of a celebrity also feels a semi-celebrity or a they also start feeling themselves as a celebrity themselves. So if a campus wins the award and a new campus is going for an application, they say since GIS has already won one award, so it would be an easy for us to win this award. But that's the realization when they go through this entire cycle. It's not that one campus, they have put lots of blood and sweat into it, and lots of efforts have been put into it. So unless you go through this journey, it's not that since you are having a tag of you will get the award. You have to go through this journey. The gold has to be melted to put it into the right shape. You can't directly convert it into from one shape to the other. So that was a challenge initially, but now I think more or less all our campuses are. The best thing is the campuses which have finished 5 years, they are coming back to us and saying that now we want to reapply. So now there is a problem at my new campuses are also want to go, and the old ones which have already won also now want to reapply for IMC RBNQA. Yes, many times I have been told that, why you're competing with each other, why your campuses are competing with each other. If you see EIC or if you see MQH, you will see more than one application coming in from GIS. But it's not competing. To us, it's more of complementing each other. So here we are driving that we are all connected with one brand of GIS. And, the campuses are not standalone entity per se. So here we look at from a more of a complementing each other when we apply for more than one application in any particular category. But yes, our chairman's vision is that all our campuses, it should go at least one cycle of IMC, RB and QA, and some of our new campuses, our principals are also there in this call. So who will be completing 3 years, and they are also now much eager to, participate and take up this journey. So yes, overall, it has been a very enriching experience throughout. And from last 15 years, many a times what happens is during the entire assessment process, if an examiner or a lead assessor gives an OFI, which is a very valid OFI, and I immediately accept, my team at times asks, you are on whose side? You are on our side or you are on IMC side? And I always tell them I'm on the excellence side,
Great. Great.
Yeah. So yes, even during this COVID, I truly appreciate the efforts taken by IMC, RB and QA and Quality Cell for keeping the journey of excellence live. Let it be QH, let it be excellence in crisis, and let it be the IMC, RB and QA men's journey or the milestone merit. Very happy that none of this got cancelled even during the crisis moment. True spirit of excellence, let what may come, the excellence flag still keeps flying high. So
thank you so much, Ratin, for that.
Yeah, with this, wish you all the, I know lots of efforts going into it, the QITC committee, the NAC committee, the Quality Cell, working behind it, the guidance of Lulla ji, and the presence of Neeraj Bajaj ji in this call shows, the commitment from the, the true leadership about, and the IMC, DIG and the IMC, Ajit ji all being a part of it. It really shows, not only how serious the excellence means to everyone, but their interest, their urge that everyone should embrace this model and take excellence as a part of life. So all credits to the entire team, and we look forward for many more years of fruitful association.
Thank you so much, Ratin. Now, I think before a quick question answer, I would request Lulla sir to just sum it up, sir, and give us your guidance, sir, before we throw it open for a Q&A.
Thank you all for your positive feedback. It's overwhelming. When we look back 25 years of RB and QA, I'm glad we've come to where we have. The interesting part is that what I see across is that people make quality. And the emphasis given to leadership and customer focus and employees, etc., that's very gratifying because that's the culture change we want. We've spoken of efficiencies, we've spoken of effectiveness. What we haven't spoken about in this chat or this interaction is the cost of poor quality that is hidden in those inefficiencies, and how much it has benefited your profit and loss account by improving the efficiencies. I'll repeat, some of you have heard this before, but I'll repeat it again. In a typical organization, 1/3 of your costs are committed to wasteful activities. Compare that to your profit. If you can halve your cost of poor quality, you can double your profit without capital investment. Now, this is an opportunity for RB and QA or IMC to actually create jobs of quality improvement professionals who are helping society and governments. Can you imagine if we adopted the municipal corporation and helped them clean their processes and agree to a 20% part of the savings for 1 year while they can continue with the recurring gains? No cost, it's win-win based on results. RBNQA has the capability of delivering that. I see shadows of all this. I liked what Manish said with great enthusiasm as to how culture was influenced. Dr. Palaniswamy, he spoke of the challenges in the education space. Dr. Rama gave a passionate presentation of the realities and the benefits. And Ratan did the marketing for RBNQA for us. He's marketed it to other campuses, but now we need him to market it to other companies and beyond global. Sell the concept that it is transformational. The core values that were mentioned, these values do not change. They are the soul of RBNQA. Be it visionary leadership, customer-driven quality, you go down the line. It's the soul. The only core value that had actually been tweaked once is managing for improvement was replaced with managing for innovation. The criteria keep changing, keep getting updated based on business, economic realities. They are the personality of the award. What we need is people to actually internalize the soul of the award, core values. You'll be able to slide any situation, COVID or non-COVID. With these words, I'd like to close, but before I close, I'd like to thank Mr. Neeraj Bajaj for always being there. He's the true catalyst, a facilitator, who's invisible, and yet he makes things happen. And deeply appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Bajaj. And thank you, Maya and the team, for your excellent work.
Thank you, sir.
The talks have been very inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your kind words. I would now request anyone has some questions to our eminent speakers. We'll take some few minutes to just ask them and have your queries sorted out. Please let me know if anyone would like to ask questions to our.
Maya, for Girish, there is one question in chat.
Can you read it out, Ashita?
Yeah, sure.
Addressed to who?
Addressed to Girish Mariko.
Girish, you're there online? Can we have Girish here? Yeah, Girish, there's a question for you. Ashita, may you read it out, please? Can you?
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
The developing and maintaining excellence culture throughout the organizations who have multiple sites is considered to be a big challenge. How Marico tackled this issue?
Yeah. As I said in my speech also, that Marico has adopted the RBNQA model and has come up with its own model called as Integrated Marico Excellence Model, which is driven by corporate, that is to address quality leadership. And there is a second model called as Act Now model, which we deploy for operations excellence. The earlier, what used to happen is prior to 2015-16, each of the site used to have their own homegrown model which works for the site. And there used to be best practices across the site, across multiple sites. And in the journey of evolution of quality systems and management systems, some of the concepts were practiced at certain sites and they were not. So we thought it is better to kind of centralize it at an overall level and deploy the same practices and concepts across all multiple sites. So then we formed a team at corporate, which is the operations excellence team, and there is also a central quality assurance team, which has always been there. And driving this particular model in terms of thinking about what the model should have and how the framework which is there, and then driving it across multiple sites is what we adopted. And then there is what you call an excellence culture or maintaining, because there is a common framework across all the sites, and that is how we have tackled it. And your question is right. As an organization evolves over a period of time from one site to multiple sites, this would be necessary.
Okay.
Okay, can I add it to it? Though the question is for Marico, but since we also have multiple sites, I can add it to that, what Girish has said.
Absolutely, Ratin. Please go.
Yeah, correct. The way it can be handled is moving the paradigm shift from the pull to the from push to the pull, you know, rather than a central team pushing it across this model and excellence journey to the various sites, you know. Instead of that, if it is created the way of life and the way your normal processes of HR, finance in any organization you deploy when you start. So if you make it the way of your life and you start deploying at the very initial stage without, you know, keeping the award as a core objective, but, you know, you just put it that this has to be a way of life. And if we start deploying it at the ground level with that perspective, it becomes slightly easier. And of course, and once you start demonstrating the results of particular one site, then it really makes a business case for others to adopt. And the only challenge what it is seeing is the resistance to change. That has to be taken. It's more of a behavioral issue, but yes, if you are able to address successfully behavior to change, and if you are able to explain with, you know, wearing the white hat of the Six Thinking hat with the data and statistics, then the driving excellence at various multiple sites becomes slightly easier.
Thank you so much, Ratin. Any other questions? Otherwise, we will not take much time of our speakers. Any more questions, or you can write to us and we will have it sorted out also.
No, there is no question in chat.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much to all the eminent speakers for your time and, you know, really making us proud that you as an esteemed organization are on board, and we had the opportunity to showcase our criteria of performance excellence to all of you. So thank you, Ratin. Thank you, Rama ma'am. Thank you, Girish. And thank you so much, Manish, and to Dr. Palanisamy for your time to be here with us today. Thank you so much. And thank you, Lulla sir, for your guiding words as always. Thank you, sir. And Bajaj sir, for being part of this program. It is truly encouraging. And to Ajit sir and Mehta sir and Sheetal. Thank you. So we end today's program with this good note. Thank you. Take care.